All right, Xander, I paired you up with none other than Miguel Cabrera. Okay, so just the things that we were talking about with your stance. So never want to really make your stance look like a big leaguer stance, because what's comfortable to him might not be comfortable to you. What's comfortable to you might not be comfortable to him. And like I said, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for comfort, and we're looking for the best way to take us from point A to point B. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of roll through this a little bit to get to the post-stride position. Okay, post-stride position means that your front heel is down, your hands are back. Let's fast forward Miggy to that point. Okay, so he's in post-stride right about there. So let's get you into that position. Okay, so we'll notice a few things here. One, let's look at this front leg. Okay, so the one thing we're looking at then is this, that. Okay, so that's the first part. So I'll erase these so you can see that a little bit better. But look at the position that we're in here. Okay, so and what this does is the sooner that this right here opens up, the sooner that this opens up, the sooner that this ends up opening up. And we know that when that front hip starts opening up, it tends to lead to everything else leaking out early too. So we talked about it with your shoulders getting out of there. Same thing with your hips getting out of there too. Okay, so then we look at Miggy over here. Look at that front hip. Look at where it's at. See how it's closed? Okay, and that all starts from down here. It starts from the foot being a little bit closed at about a 45-degree angle, and he's so solid inside of his front leg. Okay, so if we're looking at this, and looking at where his knee is in relation to his front foot. Okay, see how far inside of his front foot his knee is? Let's look at yours. That separation isn't quite as much. Okay, so that'll do a couple things for us. As we start pushing and we get too far, we end up pushing out over our front foot with our front knee. When we do that, we lose momentum. We gain momentum, but we lose the force of hitting behind our front leg. And it's hard to hit with any kind of power if we're hitting against a soft front side. Soft front side meaning our knee going out over our front foot. Okay, so we want to utilize our legs. We want to stay in the middle of our body. Our middle of the body is the strongest place that we have. So as you start leaking out over that front foot a little bit and it starts opening, then now we're going to get over it and we're going to push to the side and everything starts coming out of there a little bit early. Okay, that's the first part of this position, post-stride position. Second part is, let's look at these shoulders. Okay, so we can see that turned this way. It's an awful line. Awful, awful, awful. But you get it. Okay, so look at your shoulders, how turned in they are. Okay, look at his. They're turned in a little bit, but not that much. Okay. Next part of this is we talked about the connection, right? Connection of getting your back elbow, hands to your back hip at the same time. Here's where it starts. I want you to take a peek at where your elbow and hands are in relation to each other at post-stride compared to his. Okay. Okay, let's look at your elbow. You can see it right there. Your hands are right there. Okay, now when we look at his, it's all right there. Okay, so what that tells me then is you're either one, getting your hands too far back, or you're either two, not getting in a good position with where your elbow's at. Okay, so we can change one of those two things, and I think that your hands are a little bit too far back. So our head is a little forward of center, and if we're looking at our hands and where they're at in relationship to our feet, we see how far back they are. Okay, and then we look at his. They're right about on that back foot. Okay, so they're a little bit further back for you than they are with him. So as we get those back there, it gets a little bit too far, and we can't get in line with our elbow, so we're already disconnected from this point. So then as we start coming, let's look at this point of connection again. Okay, so there. Now let's look at Miggy. Connection. Let's try it again. Connection. Okay. So it's easier to see how everything is stacked on that backside. Everything is connected right here. Okay, and if we're looking at you, not quite as connected. Okay, it's fine. We have a guy on our team now that struggles with doing this too, and it's something that we're constantly trying to work on. And what it does is maximizes our power. Because if we look in this position right here, all that does is become a throw of the elbows. A throw of the elbows, and the barrel's just lagging behind us. With you. Now if we look at Miggy, it's all connected, and so as he starts to go through the zone, everything comes through with the back hip. So when the back hip starts coming, the hands start coming, the elbow starts coming, and then the barrel starts working together, and that's how that man produces so much power. Comes through the zone that way. So if we look at yours, is it working in sequential order? Well, let's take a peek. Okay, so we can see that our direction is taking us this way as opposed to this way. We want that direction taking us forward. Okay, so hopefully you've learned a couple things, what I've told you. One being the most important thing, being connected, and that all comes from getting in that post-drive position correctly. That's a big part of where you're going to succeed, is being in a good post-drive position. If you have any other questions for me, I know you'll ask, so I look forward to hearing from you.